Hey everybody, my name is George Morris, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about a project of mine called Uranus Service Management. So you can also call it USM. Yes, I named it after the planet Uranus. Yes, I have a sense of humor, but the official explanation is Uranus is my favorite planet. Don't make it dirty. So anyway, let's talk about why I made this though. First off, what it is though is a piece of software for managing your service business, specifically in the realm of either a repair shop, a managed service provider, or even just an IT department. So I have worked in a lot of shops. I have run my own businesses a few times, and long story short, I find that most pieces of software out there do one or two functions really well, but then they leave you in the dust, having to figure out how you're going to do other things. So what started off as a project meant for my own business because I was primarily doing a lot of on site work. So at the time I launched this, it was about a year after I had to close my shop after COVID. So it originally didn't have functions that were more geared towards a shop. So that's why even right now, we are in beta. We haven't released it yet. You can still sign up for the free open beta just because I don't believe in charging for incomplete software. But even so, as it stands in its current iteration, you could in fact run your business on it, which is why it's in public beta because I like to share that. So, but I was I had worked for other larger companies. I have worked for smaller companies. I have seen how larger companies organize information. They have things, unlike me, like even in the case of something like a business like Rent a Center. Yeah, there's software out there for managing your rent to own or even just short term device rentals, but you don't have something that's built into your existing service management software. So that's one of the things that I wanted to add into Uranus USM to make sure that if you want to do that as part of your business, that's something there because the logic is these are things that I'm planning to do with the shop that I'm in the process of launching. So I've got a lot going on right now. But ultimately, because this is primarily a me first software, that's why there may be things that you're wondering, like point of sale. Why isn't point of sale there? Because at the time of me doing this, I didn't need that. So it hasn't been added yet. I will be adding that in the future, but it won't be with the release. It'll be in a future version after we've released. But ultimately, this is this is something that just as it's custom for my needs, it's also customizable to your needs. So if you see something that you would like to, that you need or you would like to see changed, I can have a, we can sit down, we can talk about making a version that's specific to your business. So the whole thing about this is customization. This isn't a one size fits all solution. So keep that in mind when you're looking at the demo that we have on the website, when you're watching videos. That I am planning on releasing a series of videos as part of a larger documentation effort for this. So the other premise behind the software, aside from being completely customizable, is the idea that we have the ability to establish processes. So I know that there is a certain camp that wholeheartedly believes that if you have processes locked down for your business, or at least your organization, your IT department, whatever, dealing with complicated issues becomes considerably less complicated if you already have rules and processes in place that people are trained on, or at least know where to look to bind these procedures. So, what Uranus does is it provides a framework. It provides um, a point, a starting point where you can do the things day to day. You can manage things, like, for example, if you needed to write up an employee, you absolutely can track that in your installation of Uranus. If you needed to track complaints from a customer or even complaints about a customer. So, just like you might need to record and track instances where an employee acted inappropriately or whatever, you need to be able to do the same thing with customers. And so you can build history, and every single aspect that you have in your customer interactions and your business, everything can be managed and tracked in Uranus. So you can actually use, if you're using this software with the way that I've designed it, then you'll be able to find out who your noisiest customers are, who's causing your technicians the most grief, who's got, any sort of patterns, any sort of history you can run reports on. You can speak, you can collect all sorts of data and speak with data to the people that need to see facts about situations. Or you use the knowledge base, because there's a knowledge base function as well. But, so if you track everything and you have processes, procedures, especially if your tool is geared towards using these processes and procedures to um, do the work, then I think you'll find yourself at a position of advantage. So let's dive in a little bit and see what we've got going on here. So if you go to demo.uranuscomputers.net, you can actually see the live demo install. So this isn't representative always of the latest development version. For the time of recording the video, this actually is, but usually this is going to be the most stable, most complete, bug-free development version that we have. So let's go ahead and switch off here. Alright, so you go to demo.uranuscomputers.net, demo user / demo user. I don't think I typed that right. So probably shouldn't do that in real life. They say that storing your browser stuff, your passwords in browser, is actually a bad practice. I don't use Firefox regularly. My actual browser is Edge, so I use this because nobody needs to see what's on my favorites bar. But yeah, so let's take a look here. So this is what you see when you log in. You got your customers, you got work orders, appointments. So this may change, but for the moment you get a top-down view of everything that is in your database. So you can get a feel for. So this is the public demo. So I don't have any live customer data in here, and there isn't necessarily things that representative of me being able to show you full things right now, because I don't have live data to work with. So when I move forward with making videos, you'll see me adding things to the thing. So anyway, just a quick top-down view. So if we go under sales and service, we can manage things like customers. So you can see we've got about 5 different demo customers in here. And if we want to take a look, then you can see that we have different things. And this is going to be in its own video explaining all the little details that have to do with what goes into a customer, what goes into it. But the idea is we have all these other things linked to them again. Work orders, so these are obviously going to be tickets. And again, if you follow the right flow, you'll find out that this system works really well and really flawlessly. And again, here's like that quality assurance thing I'm talking about. So one of the first things it outright asks is, who is this report about, tech or the customer? So you can definitely record complaints about a customer. Any sort of notes about the customer. Um, you can track assets. So these are going to be devices that they own. So you'll be able to do some limited asset tracking, but ultimately, too, if you're logging serial numbers like you should with whenever you check in a customer device, in the case of a repair shop, then if somebody else brings in the same device, it might help you figure out if somebody is yeah. So that's what I'm saying, and so you can figure out, again, this is allows you to collect data. This allows you to establish history, and will definitely help you keep customers, your techs, yourself, and your customers honest with each other. Call management. This is one of my favorite ones. This is one of the earliest ones. So this actually originates from at one point in time, I had a standalone tool that I put together using a very similar code base strictly for managing calls. So this is just something, again, this is how you track your customers that are noisy and what they do. So you can track who they call from. So this is one of those things where, while I haven't outright said it, uh, it'll also work for call centers. So you can flat out log calls. If you have a customer service team that and you need to track your interactions with customers, you absolutely can. Um, but yeah, so like an example of a logic flow here that this is strictly designed on is if you're checking in a device, first the assumption is that you have the customer added to the system, but then you'll actually go in and you'll add the asset. So if you want to make sure the asset's there first, and then you can actually create work orders two different ways. You get buttons at the top and you get buttons down here. That's a preference choice. So you'll figure out over time what works best for you. But either way, you go in and you create a work order, and it's tied to that asset. So again, every single time. So yeah, we go back into call management, and every single thing that you can track customer, you can track if the calls from what company, what facility they're at, or location, what asset it's related to, what network device, and every one of these things, that if you want to check things, you can actually go in and see. Like in this case, there hasn't been any calls or emails or whatever about this. So again, it all depends on how much granular control that you have. One of the things you're probably looking at right now is how it tracks. Like you see cash price, promo discount, price of ownership. So this is where it tracks rent to own. So you tell it the purchase price. There's a formula, a hard coded formula that it uses for tracking things like cash price, whether it's used or new. That calculates price of ownership. After you feed it the number of payments, it sets up an installment payment. So then it's just up to you to decide what policies make sense for you, whether you're going to charge a percentage as a deposit or whatever. The whole thing, like I said, it's about customization. This tracks data. This tracks information. What it doesn't do is tell you how to do your business, but it just opens up and says, if you want to track this, or you want to set up a procedure around this tool where you know that your check-in procedure. And the other thing that I want to show you, is device health checks. So you know how sometimes customers like to lie and say, oh, well, this worked when you checked it in. Well, so a lot of this too is built off the idea that you're having paper printed forms. um, at the current stage of development, I don't have signature capture yet. I eventually will, but for the moment, the way that I will train people to follow this is you have an actual printed document where you collect a signature, then you can scan or take a photo of it, and you attach that um, to the work order. Actually, in this database, it's assigned to the asset. So yeah, everything like all the work orders, you will start from the asset. So unless it's not about an asset, then you do it from the customer. It's just a logic thing. But yeah, either way, so there is a scoring system for um, health points and stuff. So you can actually generate and this, again, this is beta. So I haven't decided if I'm going to clean this up at this point. But either way, you can absolutely use this, and you can track device has power, back glass unbroken, so you can document everything about the device when it checks in, and then the logic is you're going to do another one of these health checks on when the device leaves. And that's just a small touch of what Uranus is all about. I don't want to make this video that long, so I just wanted to make that and show the introduction to how this is designed and what my logic is. So you can use this demo.uranuscomputers.net and tinker around and figure out if it's right for you. So have a good one, guys.